Marylou, so you are actually the most important fashion reporter in the 20th and the 21st century.
No, that's
so
not,
I can't believe
it.
How you do it from Nebraska. It's a small town. It's not a fashion town. How do you begin your career? Tell me about it, Marylou.
Okay, I went to work for the Des Moines Register, and they had a wonderful way to begin work. They assigned you to a different desk for like 3 weeks. And I thought, and they gave me an assignment to review a book called 1,000 Islands for Sale. Okay, so at the end of 3 weeks, the managing editor, Frank Irely, called me into his office and he said, "You're going to be our new fashion editor." And I said, "But I can't. I don't know a thing about fashion." And he said, "You'll learn." The woman who had been the fashion editor was retiring. And not only was she very knowledgeable, but her uncle owned the paper. And so I was with her for 2 weeks. And during those 2 weeks, it was the time of Paris haute couture. And she said, "Let's look at the AP, what they're saying about the collections." And she said, "Now, this is Jacques Fat's tulip look." And I thought, Jacques Fath. I mean, that's how dumb I was. I knew nothing. And I tried to see a tulip. I couldn't see a tulip any more than the man in the moon. So anyway, she just scared me to death. And I tried to read up on fashion. There really were not wonderful books at that time. This was in the, this would have been 1952.
That early times, yeah, wow.
Okay, so that's how I got started. And Mr. Irely sent me to New York, and that was at the time when Eleanor Lambert had her press weeks, quote-unquote press weeks. And I think she paid for the fashion editors to come. Fortunately, the Des Moines Register said, "No, we'll pay." So you sat at the Pierre Hotel in the ballroom, and you watched the clothes go by, only the clothes of her clients.
I see. Okay, that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Yes, I
press week.
Yes.
So Eleanor Lambert, yes.
Then it was great seeing the clothes, and I didn't question anything. This is press week. She shows her clients. So then I went to work for the Chicago Tribune. And I told my boss my boss was fabulous. She was the beauty editor and had been for years. And her knowledge of fashion was about as bad as mine was when I went to the Register. But anyway, I said, "Well, maybe you should come, we should all go to the press week so you can see for yourself." So she did, and she said to me at the end of the week, she said, "This is insane. If you told and the press weeks were always about 2 months after the designers had shown the clothes to buyers.
Wow.
She said, "This is crazy. If you told a sports editor that they couldn't see or talk about the World Series until 2 months after it had happened, you'd be laughed out of the stadium."
Unthinkable, for these times, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she said, "We should come when the buyers come." And I said, "Great, whatever you think."
What's her name? That's really a revolution.
Yes, her name is Eleanor Nangle. And she was a great, she found Bill Cunningham. And Bill adored her, mentioned her all the time. She was 1 in a billion. Okay, so when we started, I went to a showroom and I got they ask you to sign in, and I was writing Maryl, and they said, "Are you Marylou Luther?" And I thought, oh my God, what have I done? And they said, I'm really sorry, but we can't let you come in. And I said, why is that? And they said, because we are a client of Eleanor Lambert, and she does not want us to show you the collection.
Wow.
So at that time, really a handful of designers showed us. Anne Klein's first husband, great guy. Bonnie Cashin, fabulous designer. And names that no one really would know today, like Rosalie McCreany. Anyway, I would say there were 5 or 6 designers who would show to us. So Miss Nangle very smartly thought, we need more. We need more newspapers to join us. So she talked to the Milwaukee Journal, especially, was good. The Fort Worth Star Telegram, and an upstate New York paper. Anyway, so we had a group of about 5 then, and so we kind of busted Eleanor Lambert's take.
Oh, wow.
I don't know that she continued having that, I'm not sure of that. She might have continued for a long time, but I know that because we went with the buyers, more and more journalists would go when the buyers showed.
And that forced the door open to
Yes.
all the journalists.
Yes.
And that paved the way for today's
And
press.
all thanks to Eleanor Nangle.
That's wonderful. Wow. And then I wonder, if the designer Eleanor still here, and then they see how marvelous Marylou. And then I don't know what they're gonna think. Marylou is the award winner of the French government award, literature and the Chevalier award. And it's the greatest American iconic fashion reporter.
That's what Reuben did.
Wow. Yes. Wow. That's wonderful. That's I'm so lucky to have a chance to talk to this legend. Yeah. Amazing.
I think you terribly exaggerate my importance, and because it's not right to say that I was the foremost fashion journalist. There was Bernadine Morris from the New York Times.
Yes.
There was Carrie Donovan from the New York Times. There was my wonderful friend Nina Hyde from the Washington Post. There were a lot of other important journalists.
Yes.
I shouldn't
You
have
are
said
one of
a lot
them.
of
You're one of them. One of the legends. So shall we say that is truth? Yes. And also, you write a column, Clotheslines, have millions readers, and that I also one of your fan for your Clothesline, and then I want to see how you write about that. That's so amazing, charming, and practical, and helpful for everyday women.
I started writing Clotheslines when I worked for the Los Angeles Times. And the Los Angeles Times at that time had a Los Angeles Times syndicate. And the head of the syndicate said, I want you to do, if you would please, a question and answer column. And we will try to sell it to newspapers throughout the country. And I thought, I've never done that. That sounds interesting. So I did, and my mail, I have a letter from the Denver Post saying that I got more mail than any other writer at the Denver Post. People love writing in with questions. Now, that mail has gone way down because of the social media. I mean, you can ask these questions online. Readers are smart. They know. Like an old question might have been, where can I find pashmina scarves that don't cost a mint? Something like that. Now you wouldn't get that question because they know if they go online and Google pashmina, they're going to find it. So the questions have changed.
I see. The question is changed. However, the knowledge and the way.
I have to confess, I just used that pashmina for instance. I just wrote about there is a place called the Pashmina store online.
Oh, wow. Well, we'll check it out. Okay. And that the knowledge you bring to is definitely so authentic, so useful. So, and then I also found that your columns are online from Fashion Group International, FGI.org, if anyone want to read it, and then still go there. And that's the most intelligent column, so, and about fashion for everyday women, and to be so helpful that there. And also I have one question that for the fashion insiders, people call you fashion angel. And you help the many designers launch their career. So, and I wonder, how do you discover talents?
Well, I guess you could say they find me. Except a great avenue was 12 years ago, the woman, she used to be the fashion director of Bergdorf Goodman. Then she started her own PR company. And she asked me, her name was Madeline DeVries. And she asked me for lunch and she said, I have a new client, Ecco Domani Wines. And they would like to tie in with Italian-American designers. What do you think of that? And I said, well, there may be 2 Italian-American designers. Why don't you forget that and do something that the industry needs? Why don't you start a foundation to help young designers, to give them recognition? And so she called me the next day and she says, okay, I've got it. I've got the money. I'm ready to go. Can you put together a jury? And I did, and press and retail.
I see. The fashion, powerful players, Okay.
So we would meet and first look at their lookbooks and decide which ones we thought were good enough to call and in for a second meeting to look at their clothes. And then after that meeting, we decided who should get the money. And among the people we discovered were Derek Lamb, Zach Posen, Proenza Schooler, Philip Lim. It's very impressive list.
Is Jason Wu also on that?
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
Jason Wu won, the Fashion Group Rising Star Award.
Okay.
I'd have to look up Jason. Not sure.
Not sure. And about the Angel Chen, you say?
Yes.
Probably?
Angel Chang.
Yes.
Do you want me to talk about her?
Yeah, so that you discover she's a super talented woman. So yes.
Well, and I never would have met her if she hadn't applied for the Ecco Domani. That's how I met a lot of young designers, because they applied to win a scholarship.
I see.
Okay, Angel was the most technologically interested designer of all the young designers. She worked with a Japanese dye factory, so when you put your hands on, when your hand was here, got your body heat, it changed colors wherever you put your hand. Then she did a hat with the inside, so if you're walking down the street, people didn't know you were listening, or
Yes, I see. Technology advanced the fabrics.
Yes, and then she moved to China and worked in a remote village where everything they did. Everything they ate, they grew. Everything they wore, they made. And it was so interesting to me that someone with this technological urge would then go the opposite.
The farming, traditional farming,
yes.
And then it's
all
about
handmade
sustainability. She actually pursuing,
yes.
That is really that our modern, world that needs this, sustainability.
And now she's has a scholarship, or I don't know that they call it that, with TED. Do you know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, okay.
And she's working on, now her whole effort is on clothes for sustainability.
I see. That's great. And also, yeah, you were at the first show of Yves Saint Laurent
Yes.
For Christian Dior.
Yes.
So you always have an eye for talent from early on, and that one of the most famous concept designer is Rudy Gorick, and then you even write about him. And then I wonder how do you establish the relationship with these loving designers, and you were most respectful. I mean that people just love Marylou in the design industry.
My access to them was because I worked for important newspapers. I was the fashion editor, and so they would invite me to their shows. I'll never forget Valentino. The first time I went to Rome, they said, his PR woman said, "I'm sorry, but I can't invite you to the show." And I said, "I've come all the way from Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Times, and why can I not see the show?" And she said, "Well, because we don't know you." And I said, "Well, why don't you get to know me?" Anyway, I talked her into it. She let me go to the show. But it was like you had to be interviewed.
I see.
And then living in Los Angeles, I didn't live in Los Angeles, I lived in Beverly Hills, but working in Los Angeles, it was very easy to meet the stars there, like Rudy Gernreich, Gus Tessel. And Rudy's partner was head of the French department at UCLA. And so he would have interesting friends too. And whenever they had an interesting friend, they would invite me to come and have dinner or lunch or whatever. And that's how I got to meet Erte. To me, I'm a big Erte fan. And I have one of his illustrations over there. I would never have gotten to meet him if it hadn't been for Rudy and Oreste. His partner's name was Oreste Pucciani.
I see. Wow. And I mean, you are one of the most interesting people, and you're fearless. So that.
I'm an Aries.
Yeah. Wow. So that's interesting. And then I also want to know that you do the biannual event for fashion group, the fashion overview, and that how do you put all these together? Amazing, that overview of the designers, New York, Milan, London, Paris, and that and including some of the from unknown designers, everybody, but original one you select. How do you all include that? And also every season you establish some beautiful, very popular moment vocabulary. So yeah, I wonder how you do this. Yeah.
How do I do that? Well, first of all, I get a committee together, and they later serve as panelists. And again, it's always a combination of retail and press. And, then I go to, I should say I went. I have not been to Europe for 6 months. But traditionally, I would go from here to London to Milan to Paris and back, and had photographers shooting for me. And then when I get back, I would ask the committee, and we would meet and edit what we thought were the most important collections, what were the most important trends. And then I write the script. And anyway, that's how it works.
I see. As Jason turned 20 years
Great.
young now, and
I can't
then
believe
this
that.
year is our 20 years anniversary.
Fantastic.
And we like to ask your advice. What would you like Jason to do more in the future?
Well, I think you've always been aware of sustainability, and now more and more of your clothes are made in New York.
Yes.
Almost all of them, or
Right now, I would say about 70% we made in here.
except for the embroideries.
Embroideries,
Right.
yeah. Mhm.
So I think it's important not to destroy our climate, and that you understand that and
Yes.
work very hard on that.
Yes.
The other thing, now you're going to think I'm crazy, but
Okay.
no designer has ever addressed this problem. And maybe it's something that would only apply to New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, and maybe Dallas. But I think protective clothing, especially bulletproof clothing,
Wow.
at least in a vest or a jacket. Now, I know there are online resources. One is from Germany and one is from England. And they're very expensive, so it must cost a lot of money to get together whatever you need.
Yes.
But if you Google them, they're quite interesting looking. They're not just dumb.
Wow.
And if you could only do one thing, I would think a vest. Because fashion has to apply to its time, and we live in dangerous times.
That would become the functional, protective, and also fashionable, and that's great to
I
answer
also
the need
think-
of security. Yeah.
It surprised me in 2008 when our economy was really bad. A lot of people were doing very look-at-me clothes, very decorative, and I couldn't understand that. I mean, usually, if fashion reflects the times, and it does, those were hard times, and I thought the clothes would be more personal, less decorative.
Yes.
But then I think what I was not understanding is that when times are tough, people want to be happy with what they wear. They're ready to take a chance.
Yes.
Like during the Depression, there are many pictures that show the men who were standing in lines trying to get a job all looked fabulous. They had hats, they had suits, ties. So the slogan then was, when things get tough, men dress up. I think there's still an element of truth in that.
That's true, because clothes can transform our spirit and to
Yes.
uplift us. That's why the hard times we even need more beautiful clothes.
Yeah, and right, and it depends on the occasion. Why not dress up for a ball where you're raising money for some charity? You know.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I taught myself a lesson that I was getting too closed mind about what fashion should or should not do.
Yes, yeah, it's time change, and we kind of also change the perspective and open up for all things to come, and then.
Oh, and I want to compliment you, Wei,
Okay.
for your
Wow.
jumpsuit that a woman can go to the bathroom and get out and in all by herself without having to trail what she's. Oh, I'm not saying this well at all, but
No.
I've asked stores about this. No designer is making like a drop seat jumpsuit.
Yes.
And I said, well, aren't your customers care about this? And they said, no, it's no problem.
Oh.
So I guess women, I thought it would be a major problem. It would for me to take everything down and let it drop on the floor.
Yes, yeah.
And that's why with yours, you just step out and back. Well, you describe it.
Yes, actually, our jumpsuits is really full legs. Then so you can transform into a dress as well.
Yes.
Dress or jumpsuit, either way. So you don't need to take out the entire clothes to go to bathroom. So then, because one leg is equal equally as wide as the skirt. So that is it. And also give the human anatomy like a very tall figure because it's full and the bottom and fit it on the top. So it looks fabulous and also functional. I think in these our time, we do need the functionality, beauty, and the freedom, everything all together, you know. And the same time, I want to also do more transformable clothes. Oh my God! Thank you, Marylou. Wow, you kept the sketch. Oh, wow.
Oh, of course.
Thank you, Marylou. Oh my God, what an honor! And my goodness, yeah. And what you think of, so that we should do more transformable clothes.
I think so, and you are doing it,
Yes.
and I applaud you for that.
Thank you,
I
thank
think
you.
that is absolutely great.
Thank you for your encouragement and inspiration. So we have met an angel, fashion angel, my angel. Thank you, Marylou.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you, Mario.
So,
Yeah.
how did we meet? How did?
Oh, we met through fashion group, yes.
Okay, but
Yes.
tell me the moment.
Okay, so that you have selected one of our design in your presentation. So I called to say hello. So
Oh,
yes,
very good.
yeah.
I wasn't
So
sure.
yeah. So I would say that you are my angel. You discover me.
That's really nice.
Yes.
There's only 2 other people who've ever said that.
Mm.
Oh, and one of them
Mm.
no, both of them I greatly admire. Rick Owens tells
Rick
everyone
Owens.
that I discovered him.
Yes, and also that you are such, I just cannot describe. And Noma Kamari,
Yeah,
Bessie Johnson. So
Yeah.
you are their favorite, and you also like a godmother to all of us. Yeah. Yes.
Well, I love helping young people, especially at my age. It just gives me such satisfaction to
Thank
help
you.
a young designer.
Thank you. So we just wish Marylou stay long life, healthy, long
Thank you.
life. Yes, and the world will be more beautiful.
And I wish you
Mm.
great success and happiness and love.
Thank you, Marylou. Thank you.